Oh, hello. Welcome to episode 8 of the Top 2 Inches Rugby podcast. What's going to be happening on this show? Well, first of all, we have an announcement. As some of you will know, last week my good friend Ollie came on and chatted a bit about ruggers, and he has begged me this week to have a regular slot on the show. So he will be joining me every week to discuss the Premiership and the Autumn Nations Cup whilst it is going on, and also discuss how our fantasy rugby is going. So that's quite cool. What else is on the show this week? Obviously, we'll be looking at the games in the Tri-Nation. We'll also be looking at the second game between England ladies and the French ladies, and also checking in on the Premier 15s for the ladies. This podcast is sponsored by iSpy Surveys, the go-to specialist survey and inspection company based in Exeter, Devon. This weekend saw the second test in the mini autumn series between England ladies and the French team. Last weekend, England were over in Grenoble, where they secured a really good victory against Le Blues. This week, Simon Middleton, the manager, made a number of changes. He did bring back in the most experienced English player of all time, Katie Daly-McLean at fly half. But there were, like I say, a number of changes to the team that won over Grenoble. Interestingly, I got to watch this game right from the start. France controlled the opening stages of the game. They dictated the territory, forcing penalties inside England's 22. Their fly-half did miss a kick, their first kick at goal, but the second attempt gave them a 3-0 lead after about 11 minutes. Then a mini little fight back came when Zoe Harrison took advantage of a bouncing pass from Leanne Riley, scooping it up, cantering over from about 15 metres out. What was quite interesting though is that the French then really applied the pressure and got into a significant lead really, and it was really looking like the English ladies were going to lose. However, probably my favourite moment of the match, where I think it was a bit of a gamble, to be fair. Middleton literally offloaded the entire bench onto the field. So you had the likes of Marley Packer coming on, Emily Scarrett, and they scored 15 points in the final 10 minutes to steal the victory from the French side. What it means for England is in 2020 they were unbeaten, and as I said last week, they are the number one team in the world. We've also seen the pool draws for the 2021 Ladies World Cup. Tough group for England in Pool C, so they have England, France, South Africa and Fiji. England, France in that pool potentially could decide who comes out on top. I'm not 100% sure how good South African ladies are, but if they're like the men, they're probably going to be pretty tough. Pool A, though, I would probably say is the pool of death, where you've got New Zealand, Australia, Wales, and another team. That doesn't look good for the Welsh ladies, to be fair. I'd be worried quite a lot on how they're going to progress. Pool B, I think you've got Canada, USA, and then a couple more teams, one from Europe and Asia. So it's going to be a fantastic tournament, and the way England are going at the moment, I'd be putting a little sneaky bet on them. What I will say again, Emily Scarrett, World Player of the Year, cool as a cucumber, slot in injury time, 3 points to win the game for the Red Roses. A fantastic display and a fantastic season all round for all the English ladies. On to the Tri-Nations, and I guess the question on everybody's lips was, would Argentina beat Australia this weekend after famously beating the All Blacks the week before? Newcastle, New South Wales was the scene for this game between Australia and Argentina. Sadly, it ended in a trialist draw at 15-all. Australia came out of the blocks quite well. They established a 9-point lead just before the hour mark. Reece Hodge landed 5 penalties. Nicolas Sanchez, however, landed 3 quick penalties in damp conditions. The last two, I have to say, were quite impressive. They're about 45 metres out and into the wind. What does it mean for the tournament? Well, all three teams have 6 points before next week's penultimate game. Next weekend we see Argentina again taking on the All Blacks, so it will be an interesting end to the Tri-Nations. Not a great deal to report from this game. Two teams went at it. Defences just seemed to be on top. Conditions weren't great, and I'm not going to waste too much time on that one. Hopefully next weekend we will see Argentina record their second victory against the All Blacks, which will be good. So, looking at the Allianz Premier 15 for the ladies, there was the rescheduled game last weekend between Gloucester Hartbury women and Sale Sharks women. The game had been postponed earlier in the season due to COVID, I think, within the Sale team. And the result was a win to Hartbury women, 17-14. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to see any highlights of the game or any match reports, but looking at the scoreline, it does appear to have been a close game, and potentially Sale Shark women, are obviously improving with a close victory, a close defeat against the Gloucester Hartbury women. So we'll have to check out next week's Allianz Premier 15 for the ladies and see what happens. Okay, so as I said in the introduction to this week's podcast, Ollie has kindly agreed to come in each week, and we are going to look at the Premiership and the Fantasy Rugby that we play, and kind of give reviews of what's going on. But also, we're going to, while it's still on, have a look at the Autumn Internationals. And he's here again. How you doing, mate? You okay?
Hello, mate. Good morning.
How you getting on? You okay?
All right, yeah. How are you? I'm back.
You are back. Back like a renegade master or something along those lines. That's a bit weird.
I just, it's begging and begging and begging from you, mate. I just got a bit fed up of it, so that's why I come on again, mate. You know?
I kind of said in the introduction this week, you begged to come back. Oh well, never mind.
You wish.
So, like I just said, you're going to be here hopefully every week if work, etc., family life dictate, and we're going to review the Premiership games. We're going to review the Autumn Internationals, and we're just going to chat about how week by week our fantasy rugby goes. Is that correct?
Indeed,
Lovely.
mate. Yeah, that sounds good.
Where would you like to start?
Well, it's your pod, mate. You fire away. Should we start with reviewing last week's Premiership?
Let's go for the Autumn Internationals, if that's okay. Because
I'm not happy. Signing off.
Signing off. Did you?
I didn't actually. I didn't get to watch the internationals. I've seen a little bit of the highlights, but unfortunately, family life and whatnot didn't get to watch as much rugby as one would have preferred this weekend. But there we go.
We'll start with the Autumn Internationals, and obviously, I think the game between Fiji and I'm not even sure who it was obviously cancelled because of more COVID situations.
Yeah, was it France?
It might have been France. No, it can't be France, mate, because France played Scotland, didn't they?
Very, very true. Good start to the review there.
So, but I think if we start with the first game, obviously England-Ireland. Did you see any highlights of this game?
I did see a little bit, yeah. I didn't watch the sort of full extended highlights, but I did watch it a little bit.
What did you think of England's performance?
Johnny May was outstanding.
I think England beat them up, really.
They did, yeah. From what I saw, it was kind of hoped and expected it to be. I think they pretty dominant in the forwards, wasn't it? Like you say, beat them up like we have done the last couple of times we played them, but nothing that much exciting in the game. But apart from Johnny May, really, wasn't it? With his couple of tries.
Both tries were fantastic, really. And I think like I've heard on other kind of podcasts, Ireland just don't seem to have a plan B when plan A isn't working. I mean, I think it was really hard for them to kind of get any kind of stability anyway because of the sheer, Mario Itoje was amazing. The back row were just, dominant tackle after dominant tackle. And I think I saw a statistic that actually none of Curry, Underwood or Vunipola actually missed a single tackle in the game.
Was that Rory Underwood or Tony?
Oh, no, Underhill, sorry. Imagine if Rory Underwood had done that.
That was silly. That sorry, mate.
I think Rory Underwood or Tony could have done that well.
No, we're pretty pretty blessed for back row options at the
Yeah,
moment, isn't it? That's why that's quite a hot topic of debate, isn't it, with who should be there
yeah,
and
and
who
obviously I
shouldn't.
think
But no, the boys who play, they obviously did outstanding. Underhill and Curry are
ridiculous,
just
aren't they?
animals, aren't they?
Do you know? Do you know? I actually think Billy could be the weak link. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a tough one, isn't it? Because I think everyone's shouting about, obviously Sam Simmons is the big
Yeah,
name at the moment, isn't it? And just on form and what he's done, been doing in the Prem end of last season and this weekend in particular. Um, yeah, you've got he's got to be putting his hand up, hasn't he? But I don't know, Billy. For me, Billy, he's not quite. He was just a massive impact, wasn't he? When he sort of, well, not say first came on the scene, but just for such a long time, just a huge impact player and making loads of yards and I haven't personally haven't seen that in him for a little while now. I don't think at the World Cup he was quite
yeah,
as big an impact as he used to be. So whether that's gone or whether that will come back, I think it's a case of maybe defenses and coaches and teams have sort of watched and looked how to nullify him a little bit. But I don't know, as an international player, he's
very
just
good.
still, yeah, he's still very good, and he does always go for. He's not. He doesn't get when he gets hit.
No,
He doesn't go
no, I
backwards,
agree.
does he?
I agree. And I think
Um,
something that I kind of observed in the game, England, I didn't think England, apart from obviously May's two tries, they didn't seem to offer a great deal in the back, but it looked like they were trying new things. Like, I think Ollie Lawrence was defending at the inside centre channel and Slady was on the outside. And then you had like Johnny May was all over the field, Joseph was all over the field, popping up in different places. It just looks like they've got a bit of a different game plan in the back, mixing it
Mixing it
up a bit.
up,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
hybrid
Well,
players. Is that
yeah. I don't
hybrid? Is
know.
it?
Potentially.
Well, that's a bit less risk adverse than Jack Nowell in the centre or Ben Earl in the centre or whatever. Jack
Yeah,
Nowell at flanker or whatever, and Ben
absolutely.
Earl in the centre. The things Eddie
Yeah,
Jones has hinted at, isn't it? But I
yeah.
think that's just Eddie,
He's
isn't
a
it?
he's a Mate, he
He loves
does.
the media,
He
doesn't
loves
he?
winding it up, and he loves throwing things out there. And like everybody says, he's a top coach. To be fair, I mean, I guess from obviously both of us being English, quite happy with the result. England, obviously, Ireland are a tough team, but top of the table for the autumn. Well, Group A, I think we are quite happy with the result. Really,
Definitely, mate. I think it was nothing amazing or outstanding, but it was like you say, it's a good result against Ireland, who are a big
yeah,
nation, a big team, aren't they? So and there's more to come from
yeah,
England,
absolutely,
definitely, isn't there?
absolutely. So just moving on to the Welsh game, Wales versus Georgia. I had set myself up for a bit of a whole day watching ruggers on Saturday. Um, I, I
Very
secluded the
nice.
kids. They were playing out the way. I had to interact with them a little bit, but generally they were just left. Um, minimal parenting
Minimal.
that day while the missus was at work. I watched the Welsh game, and I ain't gonna lie. At half time, I turned it off because I was bored, and I watched an episode of The Crown. No.
That
Well,
bad.
The
That
Crown's
bad.
really good, but it was that boring. And I think fair play to Georgia. From what I saw in the first half, they turned up. They gave obviously. I appreciate it wasn't a full Welsh team, but you had enough quality players in that Welsh side to do a job on Georgia better than Wales did. And I might be being a bit harsh on Wales, but it was boring. It wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I haven't seen anything of that game. Um, but it didn't necessarily surprise me what you've just said and reports I've read saying sort of similar and the scoreline just because of where Wales are at the moment. I think they're um, at the very very beginning and hopefully at the trough of a
Yeah.
transition phase, aren't they? So I think for them, just getting a win is probably the main thing at
Hmm.
the moment with Pivac's what
Yeah.
he's working on. But yeah, it's a tough. I don't really see where Wales are going. I think it's a positive. He's brought in a couple of youngsters or given them
Yeah, I mean,
a
Reece
go.
Sammett's try,
Um,
that was a good try. That kid's a quality player. Shame he's decided to go and play for Wales.
and Sheedy
Yeah,
got a
he's a
shout
good
as well,
lad.
didn't it?
Sheedy at Bristol, yeah, he played well, I thought. And I just wonder if it is even more time for like the likes of Dan Bigger, Alan Wynne Jones, those kind of people to kind of say, do you know what, job done, step aside. Let's let the youth come through.
Yeah, I think they're at a stage where at a point where, to be honest, there's nothing to lose by doing that now, is it? It can't really get much worse than the run that they've had recently. So yeah, I mean, I don't know which players are on board with, but obviously there's a lot of difficult taking over from Gatland. He was there for so long, isn't it? So there could be a bit of some players struggling or not wanting to get onto the Pivac way of doing things or whatever. But if that's the case, he just needs to clear the deck and get players in there who want to do it and do it his way, isn't it?
Before we go on to the France game with Scotland, obviously next weekend, this Saturday, I think it's Saturday, England will be playing Wales at Parc y Scarlets. What are we thinking result-wise? Are we thinking England are literally going to turn up and absolutely dust them?
Yeah, I would normally go a bit sort of tentative going away to Wales, but in reality, I think it'll be a bad result if we don't. If we don't, I would have said that should be a clear 20, 30 pointer, hopefully.
Do you think Eddie will make many changes? Or
I don't know if he will, actually.
I would. I just wondered because obviously there's a few guys who's now available again that I read. Anthony Watson, he's back in the squad,
Watson,
isn't he? And there was somebody else. Can't think who it was. But I was just thinking, do you think maybe Watson?
Cowan Dickey, is that the other one? I would have thought. I agree. I don't think he'll make too many changes. I think if he's going to bring people like that back in from injury, maybe put them on the bench and give them a run out
once they're up.
But he seems to be. I mean, that's partly they almost just are looking to put a bit of confidence. I think it's a lot of people saying the same. But I think the squad lost a bit of confidence with losing that World Cup final to South Africa, wasn't it? So I think Eddie's on a bit of almost a rebuild for the confidence side of things, isn't it? So winning is the key thing, isn't it? So I don't think he's going to mess around with it too much, personally.
No, I agree.
I don't know. It's Eddie. You never know.
Knows? You might see Ben Earl at outside centre. Who knows? So just to wrap the autumn Nations Cup up, France, Scotland. Obviously, Scotland sadly lost. That's their winning streak come to an end. France looked good. I got to be honest. I've only seen highlights, and I think I wouldn't say France necessarily dominated, but they just looked all around better on the day. And obviously, Hoggy made a bit of a mistake at the end, didn't he, with a kick to the corner that didn't. I'm right in thinking that. I'm pretty sure I'm right.
He mistouched,
didn't go quite well for him.
I was going to say that happens, doesn't it?
Happens to the best of us, mate, doesn't it? I'm sure it's happened to you.
You can't blame the loss on one kick.
But I think just France on the day were just better, and it's a shame for Scotland because they did seem to be playing better. Would they have won if they had old Finn Russell?
Or even Hastings, number 2.
Dunky Weird's a fantastic 10, but I don't know. I think he maybe lacks a little bit of that, not inspirational, but that little bit of magic, that little bit of I'm going to try something. I think he's quite a conservative player.
Agreed. He's solid, isn't he? But he's not known as necessarily a flair sort of playing on the line running 10, is he?
So I think. Do you think if all things go well next weekend, we could be looking at a France-England final?
It's looking that way, isn't it? Yeah, hopefully.
Of course, it'd be nice to get one over on the French.
Well, yeah, it'd be good. It'd be good to see actually, because it's arguably
we owe them from the last Six Nations, didn't we?
Sorry,
we owe them. We owe them. We owe them a good. We do. Kicking.
And it's arguably two of the top 2 sides in the world at the moment, if not the top 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
the way New Zealand are playing, and Australia obviously, although Argentina could push, I suppose. Nice draw, I guess, with the Wallabies on the weekend, which was quite good.
That's true.
They didn't pull a win out really, but hey ho. So yeah, I mean,
and South Africa are always up there, but they ain't refusing to play at the moment, aren't they?
Exactly. So they ain't too fast, right?
Got to be in it to win it.
Yeah, you do, man. So that kind of ends the autumn Nations roundup. Let's move on to the Premiership. Okay, start of the Prem. Where should we start? Should we start Friday night? Exeter away at Harlequins?
No, let's just get the Bath game out of the way, mate. I know you're gagging too.
I am absolutely. Listen.
It's the only reason you called me back on, really, isn't it?
No. I genuinely, and we had this conversation before, and I said to you, I've had a little bet on Bath this year to an each way bet, 12-1, to finish in like the top 4, and I was thinking Newcastle, fresh up out of the Championship. They've just lost one game to Ealing, and they're going to the Rec. Bath are going to absolutely hump them, and it didn't happen.
It's just Unbelievable. I mean, could 2020 get any stranger? Not only have Bath just lost to the newly promoted Newcastle, which is just unforgivable, but also Leicester won, just to go on a little.
Hey, we'll come to Leicester. Let's just stick with Bath. So I've seen the highlights.
Sorry.
I've seen the highlights, and Bath started off really
Yeah.
well. They did. You know, that try
Yeah.
by, was it Redbath scored the try, wasn't it? Or was it Cocker the Singer? Yeah, no,
Cock
but
and
it was
Seagull. Redpath
was instrumental in getting the try. They looked really good, but it was a bit
Yeah.
like they just kind of sat back. I don't know. They just had a game plan, did it, and thought awesome, and then didn't carry it on. And then Newcastle obviously got back into the game. Gary Graham, the number 8, with his monster beard, two good tries. I don't know. It was just, I was shocked, mate. I've got to be honest. And I know we banter. I was really surprised by the result, and you must have been devastated.
Devastated, mate. It's like I say. I think it's an unforgivable result. You just can't be losing. That's no disrespect to Newcastle, but they are the newly promoted side to the league, and you're playing at home. If you want to be challenging for top 4, you just can't be losing those games. It's just the long and short of it, isn't it? But
I suppose worst case scenario for Bath on the day would have been a win, but didn't get the bonus point.
Yeah, that's the
but literally they didn't even
very small silver lining, is they got a point out of it.
Did they get a point out of it, or did?
Yeah, they got 1 point out of it, didn't they?
Losing bonus point, did they? Oh,
yeah,
that's good. At least there was something.
Yeah, I think if you're going to lose any game in the Prem, you've got to pick up that point, haven't you? Just
absolutely
to keep the points ticking along. But no, it's just, devastating, man. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's
so let's
move on.
Let's go to Friday night lights. Harlequins Exeter at the Stoop. I thought Harlequins were quite good for probably about 50-60 minutes. Obviously, Sam Simmons scored that try, which was ridiculous, breaking through the centres and literally outpacing Nathan Earl. Then the way he sort of stood up scoring the try, that was definitely a message to Eddie as far as I'm concerned. That kind of like come and get me sort of scenario. But Exeter just looked too good in the latter stages. They just looked fitter, stronger, more kind of, they knew what they were doing, they needed to do. And Quinn just didn't really have an answer for it.
Agreed, mate. Agreed. Yeah, you can't argue that at all. It's typical Chiefs, really, isn't it? They're especially the last quarter of the game, they just seem to be able to just lift it to another gear, which most teams can't do or compete with, and they've tired them out or ground them down or whatever, isn't it? So even in a tight game like that was pretty tight to, like you say, to 50-60 minutes, they just stormed away, didn't they?
Absolutely. It was.
But yeah, Sam Simmons can't put your hand up any more to Eddie than that, can you?
Hat-trick on the first game back. I did think Exeter there might be some, leftover from last season, and obviously it being such a quick turnaround. But no, they were absolutely class.
Just picked up exactly where they left off, didn't they? It's which is credit to them and Baxter, but it doesn't surprise you, does it? Because they've proved it over and over again. They've just got it. They got it right, haven't they?
Definitely. And just to moving away from those guys, the other Friday night game was Sale Northampton.
Yeah.
At Sale, a 32-23 victory for the Sharks. The older Sale hooker Van der Merwe. Is it Van der Merwe?
Yep.
He scored a fantastic try to get the ball rolling. Are Sale Sharks turning into Exeter, but with South Africans?
In what way?
Like they literally just beat people up.
Well, they're pack-wise, they're probably one of the teams that could potentially contest. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they are sort of, I wouldn't say they're copying or whatever, but they do play a similar style, don't they? Of just trying to dominate up front. That's the South African way anyway, really, isn't it? Up front in the pack, but I don't know. I watched the highlights of that one and wasn't overly impressed with either side. I think
really
I thought there was sort of positives and negatives to both sides.
Right.
The scoreline was quite flattering to Sale overall, I thought, from what I saw. But it'd be interesting to see how it goes. It's a long old season because Sale. I don't think Sale are missing too many, are they? They obviously
Tuolangi's obviously out, but they're not going to miss.
Yeah, he's injured. Tom Curry in the back row, but I think that pack was pretty much a full string first choice, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And if you look at at half time, it was 17-7 to Sale Sharks. So to be fair to Northampton, they did come back at them, didn't they?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that's why I say it's sort of positives and negatives to each, because neither side ran away with it. So there was some good points and some good and some bad to both. But Sale probably should have run away with it in the second half, really. But they didn't seem to just get any real distance between them and the Saints, did they?
No, absolutely not. No. So moving on to Worcester and London Irish. Worcester coming out on top, 11-10. Scoring a try at the death, I think, or near the end of the game. Nice win for Worcester, or do you think they could have done better?
I think it's a good win, mate. It's a good win. They're in the relegation battle last season, those two, weren't they? So just getting a win for either one of them out of that result is a good start to the season. But I think that pretty much went as maybe it was sort of expected to. Worcester winning at home in a close game. But I think they're actually both maybe in different ways. They both look quite strong.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, last week me and you sort of had them at the bottom half of the table, and I know you can't say much after the first week, but they both did actually look good, and I just wondered if they'd be pushing a little bit more, trying to get out the bottom. And obviously, with Newcastle's result, they've clearly got a statement, or I've made a bit of a statement, haven't they?
Yeah, what you're saying, Bath and Leicester in the relegation battle now.
I mean, flipping heck, I hope not. Could you imagine it? No, I don't think so.
Amplifies it even more. It's such a tough league, isn't it? But Worcester, I think they're a well drilled coach side. I don't think they've got any real individual big name particularly outstanding like that. But they're a good team, aren't they? And London Irish, I'm not saying they're not a good team, but they've signed some quite big name players, haven't they? Yeah. So if that all clicks for them and sort of continues off of this fixture, then. They could have a good run. You don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
OBrien's a good signing. I think that's interesting to see how he pans out there.
Say again, sorry.
Sean O'Brien.
Yeah. He looked quite useful.
See how he pans out there. That could be a really good signing for them.
Yeah. And obviously he's not going to be going away with Ireland or anything because there's too many quality guys with Ireland. So, yeah, I think that's probably a fair point on that one, really. Okay, so Sunday's game. Obviously, I'm leaving the best one till the end. We saw Wasps against Bristol. It looked to me like it was pretty much a full-strength Wasp side against the not-so-full-strength Bristol side. But Wasps took it at the end because of some poor, defensive work by Bristol. And looking at or watching the interview with Pat Lam afterwards, he looked proper pissed off. I think it's one that he thinks they should have won.
Yeah, certainly agreed on the sort of strength of the starting squads. Wasps were a lot closer to full strength than Bristol, weren't they?
Yeah.
So, it was tight. It was close, wasn't it? Obviously, a close result. I can understand Pat Lam being peed off not to get the result, but I would say actually overall Bristol can probably take more positives out of that than Wasps, other than Wasps got the win.
Yeah.
Because it was a weaker side, and they very, very nearly or probably should have won it.
Yeah. And I thought, is it Harry Randall at 9 for Bristol? He looked really good.
Yeah, he did. He's pretty useful for a little schoolboy, isn't he?
Mm. He's still quite young.
I'm just kidding, but he's tiny, isn't he? But he's a cracking player.
Yeah, he's a small lad, but he's very, very good at the same time. I think Bristol will go well this year. I do.
Yeah, that's what I said. And it's a pretty big positive for their squad overall to very nearly win away at a sort of almost full strength Wasps on the first game, isn't it? So that's a good sign for them for the rest of the season, isn't it? For strength in depth or whatever.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, so to finish the Premiership up for this week.
Here we go.
Leicester Tigers at home to Gloucester. Now, before you say anything, I genuinely thought Gloucester would win from a Leicester fan perspective. I didn't see Tigers winning, even though they were at home. Now, my question is Wigglesworth possibly the best signing Leicester have done?
At the end of the season, but it's certainly looking that way, mate. It's a pretty good signing.
So 38
could be the missing link that they've needed for a little while. But yeah, all banter aside, it was a fantastic result, mate, and not just a fantastic result. It was convincing when they looked by far the strongest side pretty much for the full game, didn't they? So
Yeah. Well, they were 22-8 at half time and then finished 38-15. And they looked, I'm not saying they were Leicester of old, but they definitely looked to have more structure. The guys that they've kind of brought in, is it Brink on the back row with Wisser or Visor? I'm
yeah,
not sure how to pronounce it. They both showed up quite well, I thought. Obviously, Wigglesworth just seemed to be, whatever he is, 37. He knows how to control the game. He put them in the right places to play, which is quite unusual when you think about it. Obviously, because they have, Ben Youngs at 9, you would have thought he could do the same.
yeah.
But I think Wigglesworth just kind of helped in that respect. And I just thought Leicester, I can't say they're going to be. Well, I can say they could be top of the top four because it's in their DNA.
Top four.
Top four. That's what I'm saying. Fuck it, top four.
Look at you getting ahead of yourself.
But they just look really good, I thought. And I guess the other question is, what is going on at Gloucester? Looks like Danny Cipriani's lost his golden handcuffs, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah, I think I said last week that I pipped them for a lower mid table, potentially dropping into the relegation battle side because it's just not right there, is it? I don't know what. It's almost they lost a lot of quality players, and I'm not sure if Sips ain't playing well, then Gloucester ain't playing well, and the sort of it's all around Cipriani, isn't it? They haven't really got another game plan, so that's very risky.
Yeah, I agree.
And
But
he ain't playing well at the moment, and he didn't play well this weekend.
no. It's nice to see Leicester back at the top of the table, albeit after the week one. Long may it continue.
The bigger test is going to be this weekend for them, is it? Who have they got? Is it Irish away?
I was just gonna say, should we just move on to round 2 and just
All right, then.
think, not saying go into too much detail, but maybe just kind of predictions. So
Predictions, yeah, okay.
Yeah, if
that sounds
we start Friday night, Newcastle at home to Sale.
I'm going to go Sale. Sale win.
Okay.
Could be quite tight, but
I think Sale win, but I think it will be within sort of 3 points. I think Newcastle at home, they'll want to put on a performance at home for the fans, for the absent fans, and I think it will be a lot closer. But yeah, I would say a Sale victory on that one. Northampton Saints against Harlequins on Saturday at Saints.
Saints for me.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, is that? I mean, I to be honest with you, I agree. I think Saints will win that one. I think they'll just have a little bit too much for Harlequins, which is a shame. Bristol Bears Worcester at Bristol. I think that could be quite close.
Yeah, I agree. That could be quite close, but I think Bristol will pip it. Just maybe just on the home factor. I think if that was the other way round, Worcester could potentially nick it. But
be a different story.
Yeah, but I would go Bristol. I think on that.
Yeah, I agree. But again, I think it could be a lot closer than people might think. Tough one for Wasps, although for Gloucester, sorry. Although they are at home, they have got the Wasps coming their way. Your thoughts on that one?
Well, just going on last weekend, I would say a Wasps win.
Yeah.
But Gloucester need to pull it out of the bag. But I can't see it. I'm going to go Wasps. Go Wasps for that one, I think.
Okay.
What about you?
Mate. No, I would agree with Wasps. Given last performance, I can't see it being anything but a Wasp win. To be fair, I think they're too strong.
Is that 4 we've agreed on then?
It is 4 we've agreed on. Yeah. Okay, so the next one, I feel so bad for Bath having to go to Sandy Park.
Well, it's a guaranteed Bath win, isn't it? 5-pointer.
Are you joking? No, mate, that's Exeter every day of the week. Bath ain't winning that.
What do you mean?
I think Bath will be saying to keep it under 50.
I'll be honest. The way Bath go, that's very well one they can win because they've just lost at home to Newcastle, the newly promoted side. Now they'll go away and win away at the double champions. But no, it ain't going to happen. They're going to lose. But yeah, if they can keep it to under, if we get a point out of that one, it will be a fantastic result, I think.
A fantastic result to get a losing bonus point.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's quite a sad thing to say, isn't it?
I was going to say that's going to be a long old season for Bath at this rate. And then finishing up on Sunday, my boys, the Tigers, away at London Irish. Now, I think we might disagree on this one because I think you're going to say Irish and I'm going to say Tigers.
Well, if you're going to say Tigers, then we will disagree because I am going to say Irish.
Any particular reason?
Just because it's Tigers.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
No, I'm joking, mate. No, it just gut. It's a gut feel. I quite like the look of Irish, and not sure whether Tigers will back up their unbelievable result of last week, 2 weeks in a row.
Okay, that's fair. It is, and obviously, like Irish are going to be playing at their new ground a little bit. Obviously, like Newcastle, I know there's no fans. Hopefully, after the lockdown ends, there will be. Is that right in thinking that fans are going to be allowed back in the stadiums, but on a very limited amount?
Yeah, I don't know the details, to be honest, mate. I did hear that fans are going to be allowed back in again, but I don't know the full details or dates of when it starts and that.
Okay, so we pretty much agree on who wins and who loses last week, apart from the game on Sunday, where you're all going Irish and I'm going Tigers.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fair enough. I'll take that. So just to wrap this up, because we are coming up to nearly 40 minutes of chatting. Our fantasy rugby obviously kicked off as well last week. Current positions, you are top of the league. And
of course.
Okay. 12. Are you 12 or 14 points ahead?
It's 14, I think. Yeah.
Did you expect it to be as close as that, or were you thinking you were going to start running away this early?
No, in all honesty, I thought it was going to be close. But I'm much like Exeter Chiefs. I've sort of picked up exactly where I left off last season, haven't I? Just at the top, staying at the top, leading the way. But no, all joking, mate. I did think it would be close. I think it will be close
throughout,
possibly throughout. Yeah, the big, like we said last week, the big difference with it all this season is the start of the season is like a follow-on from last, isn't it? Whereas normally you have like a complete sort of fresh start, don't you? So there's a lot of unknowns in it. But I think the main challenge is the internationals and just making sure you're picking the form players and stuff, isn't it?
Absolutely. No, I agree. Any hints on who you might be bringing in? You know, if you are you going to look to make any changes, or are you waiting until the teams are announced to thoroughly think through what you're going to go for?
Well, I'll be maxing out my Bath players, obviously, because they're going to get a massive win away at Sandy Park.
Oh, blimey, yeah, you did have quite a few Bath players, didn't you? You got about 6, didn't you?
5, I think, yeah. But I was backing a big wing, obviously, but
that didn't happen.
No, I don't know, mate. I'll wait for the team selections and.
Yeah, I did think, to be fair, McConaughey, he played quite well.
Yeah, he's a good lad. He always seems to get sort of good stats, good yardage and everything, doesn't he?
Yeah, I got 35 points for him, which I was quite chuffed with.
Very good.
Obviously, both of us had Sam Simmons as our captain. I think we both got 126 points, didn't we?
Yeah, he did all right, didn't he?
He was all right. I was a little bit disappointed with Denny Solomona. He only picked me up 5 points. So I think, I ain't going to lie, he'll be one that I'll be yanking off the team sheet because old Hassel Collins got quite a few points as well. So he could get promoted, I think. It just depends if he's selected.
Hassel Collins, yeah, against Leicester as well. He's bound to get a hat-trick, isn't he?
Okay, we'll leave it there. Listen, mate, lovely to have you back. Looking forward to next week already. And yeah, we'll chat about the round 2 results next week.
Great. Thanks for having me again, mate.
No worries, buddy. You take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll speak again soon.
And you. See you next week.
Bye. So that is the end of episode 8 of the Top 2 Inches Rugby podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you again to Ollie for agreeing or begging to come onto the show and have a weekly slot. I hope you enjoyed that segment. You can obviously get us on all major platforms, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, etc. So sign up, subscribe, and get our feeds or our episodes into your feeds every week. As you know, we are on Twitter at the top 2 inches RP. So any questions, send in that you might have. I guess all it needs me to say is now thanks once again to I Spy Surveys, the go-to survey and inspection company based in Exeter, Devon. And we will see you next week for episode 9. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.